Welcome to another episode of the Quiet Work podcast. In this episode, we are going to talk about search engine optimization. This was a term that I was afraid of for many years, even though I'm in the marketing space as well. But search engine optimization was always something so complicated that I didn't even want to touch it. But at the same time, I knew how important it is. So I'm excited to hear Mike's take. I'm bringing in an expert who is not doing SEO for the last 2 years or 12 months, as many experts out there do, but actually for 20 plus years, if I'm correct, if I remember
Correct.
correctly,
Yeah,
20
that's
plus
right.
years. So, Mike, without any further ado, please introduce yourself and the company you represent, and we'll start the conversation with that.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. My name is Mike Salvaggio. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SEO Brand, a search marketing firm that we are celebrating our 20th year. So yes, that's correct.
Congrats. That's
Thank you.
huge milestone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. So our company does many things, but we primarily specialize in business to business marketing,
Yeah.
growing brands footprints to generate more inbound qualified leads for the business to help them grow their clients. And the primary channel that we use for that is obviously for SEO, search engine optimization.
So who are your typical clients at SEO Brand?
We have clients from many different verticals, many different sizes. I feel like sometimes agencies like to talk about the size of the clients that they have and the names of the clients they have, but I could tell you on many occasions that we've taken a client from from a small business from $500 a month 10 years ago and grown it to a 5-figure a month account and grew the business substantially. We
Hmm.
don't really look at clients based on their size. We look at a client based on whether or not we would have the opportunity to fill a hole in the space that we can uncover during our needs and analysis. So to answer that question, clients from the hospitality industry, from substance abuse, from hospitals, healthcare, I mean, you name it. 20 years is a long time to be in this type of business. So you can imagine that
Yeah.
we've probably seen just about every type of campaign that there is.
So I'll be curious to hear, obviously you don't have to cover all the specifics, but how did it change from 2005 until 2025? The way I saw search engine optimization was to write blogs. Then AI came around and it could write blogs for you. So they lost a little bit of importance, if I remember correctly, but obviously you can correct me here. But how did it all start when you first joined the industry? And how did you perform search engine optimization back then?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a fluke because we started off in the affiliate marketing space, my business
Mhm.
partner Michael and I, and we were generating traffic, just really writing a lot of content, building links. Back then, this was really like at the beginning when Google came on. So what you're seeing right now with AI, with ChatGPT, with Perplexity, Gemini, it's like 2005 all over again because back
Mm.
then Google was the new player on the block. And the search engines then, I can name a few, you probably wouldn't even know who they were or what they were, like Lycos,
Mhm.
Excite. These
No.
are search engines that are just, obsolete and were pretty much stamped out by Google once Google came in and took the majority of the market share. But getting traffic or generating traffic through those earlier types of search engines was pretty easy. You didn't really have to get creative. I mean, all you had to do was point a couple of links to a few pages, write some subpar content, and your page would rank. So we had started that business promoting affiliate marketing products through affiliate networks like ClickBooth and competitors of those. We quickly realized that what we probably should start doing is build a real business around this. Maybe offer it to different clients and get into some sort of consulting gigs with clients. And that's how it originally started. And as we really lost interest on the affiliate marketing space, we morphed it more into the agency space. And at the time when we had sort of locked down how to generate traffic using a lot of these older search engines, Google was the new player on the block. And that's really what we're looking at right now, that you see all of these large language models such as ChatGPT and, like I said, Perplexity and some of the other ones that seem to be popping up every day. They're the new players on the block. So it took almost 20 years for there to be a seismic shift in search, and yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now. So it's very exciting, and very very challenging, but also very exciting. It's like the playing field has been completely leveled again.
I can imagine. We'll dive into that in a second, but you brought back so many memories. I remember a time where internet wasn't really, in my case, especially growing up in Poland, internet wasn't used for research or search in general. Like you didn't. I still remember walking when I moved to Germany and had to learn the language. I had the big vocabulary, a physical big vocabulary, dictionary. I mean, that I would walk around with and look up words. Internet was becoming a thing on mobile devices, so it was still very very new. But back then, I remember that internet wasn't actually used for to search for things. And then Google came around, and now everyone wanted to be number one on Google. So what was the KPI or key performance indicator back then? Could you actually keep track of where all the traffic is coming from, and as you start ranking higher, that how big of an impact it has on each of the business that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, the KPIs really were for us. It always came down to either sales, commerce
Mm,
sales, or inbound leads. I mean, those were the two conversion marks that we would measure, and we still measure those today. But it was easier back then because Google was a new player on the block. They had new technology,
mm,
so there was a lot of things that you can try, and a lot of things would work. But Google got smarter over the years, and they started to really pay attention to people that had figured out their algorithm and made it more trickier. But they weren't trying to stop people from ranking on Google. They were just trying to improve their product. So before Google, it was very difficult to find something. If you use the search engine like Lycos or Excite, you would get millions of different results. Well, when Google came in, they strengthened their algorithm so much, and it would really pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. So it brought a way better user experience for everyone, for people to start using search engines, and then they just became baked into everybody's life. Perhaps the KPIs and the metrics that we looked at as SEOs may be a little bit different because we were just trying, and we still do, to bring the ultimate best experience to the client. We always start with the client and we work backwards from the client. If it's in the best interest of the client, then it's in the best interest of whatever work that we're performing, even if it's long, boring, and tedious. So we just want to make sure that whoever's looking for the service or the information, that they're connected. And Google made that a lot easier. And now what we're seeing is AI making that even easier than search engines for people to find what they're looking for. So it's an interesting
exactly.
time.
It definitely is. So with I tried to segue into that in November 2022, GPT became so popular and came around, and all of a sudden people start discovering the power of AI. But if I remember correctly, the data for ChatGPT ranged only until 2021. So in other words, if you wanted to look up something, it's something from now, from previous month. It didn't have the data because it was only until 2021. Don't remember the month, but that was the time of it. Now you have pretty much real time data. Not sure how fast, how quickly they update, but I can imagine on a instant basis. How has this impacted search engine optimization? Maybe we can say AI SEO now, where obviously ChatGPT and other large language model are becoming so popular when it comes to top of the market, top of the funnel traffic. I mean, it generates a lot of traffic, not majority yet, but a lot of the traffic. They have 700 million active users on a weekly basis. People perform billions of searches. And obviously, a lot of those searches are related to services, products that people discover through ChatGPT. So, how are you optimizing now, in other words, your services to essentially incorporate AI SEO into that as well?
Yeah, so the game has definitely changed. So prior to that, prior to AI, it was more like how many backlinks can point to your site, which are pretty much votes of authority, and having really strong content that answers the intent of the search. So you really had to make sure that you understood what people were looking for and
Mm,
then wrote the content to answer their question, whether it's they're looking for a service or they're just trying to educate themselves. Over the last 5 to 10 years, search really has moved to semantic based search
mm,
based on intent, based on user intent. Now you're looking at language models that are citing average positions on Google 20 and up. What does that mean? Well, all
mm,
the search engine optimization people, like myself and our company, and anybody that was forward thinking in order to get some traffic coming from Google, because we all know it's some of the best converting traffic that's out there, they're all fighting for page one of Google. Okay.
mm.
How much optimization can I do? How much content can I write? How many relevant backlinks? How many signals can I send to Google? to show Google, hey, I deserve to be on page one. Well, now when you have language models such as GPT and Perplexity routinely citing positions 20 and up on Google, that's
Mm.
page 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. I mean, that was no man's land to us, to an SEO. We didn't even care about page 1 or 2. So now the playing field has become level because these language models are going deep into the search index to cite the right intent or the right answer for the intent of the search. So it's almost like it's bypassed anything that's coming from an SEO, and it's actually going and getting the right information. So if you follow the playbook the way that we've followed it over the last 10 years, not even knowing AI was going to be a thing and just making sure that you deliver the right answer for the user, our clients didn't really see that much of a dip in traffic because we've always followed this. Instead of just trying to outsmart Google and outsmart the search engines, deliver the right answer for the client. So people are in panic right now. A lot of agencies are in panic because they're trying to reverse course, but we don't see any of that. It didn't really dip into us too much at all because we've always done this, and not because we were smarter than everybody else, because we just always did whatever was in the best interest for the client. So the game has definitely changed. Now it was, hey, fight to get on page 1, scrape from 2 to 1, and now it's, hey, align the right information on your site, and these AI LLMs are smart enough to find it, because you will seed them with the information that they want based on the search query coming through their box.
Oh, so that's that's new or news to me. I didn't know that it will actually look up for pages or search result 20 and up. I mean, that's incredible. That, like you said, it levels up the competition there. So you say that, if I understood it correctly, that answering questions that people are searching for or asking online, that means usually YouTube, Google, or any other platform, Bing, maybe, that gives you the power essentially, or the benefit, leverages the benefit that AI, LLMs, platforms can send traffic to a website. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, but if for an SEO, it would be more like, and this is not something that anybody's not familiar with that's in the game, it would be more question-based keyword research. So
Mm,
our keyword research was always based on this. Now the questions are just coming in as forms of prompts. So we
mm.
obviously have a lot of different tools that tell us the prompts that are coming in and what's being cited as answers to those prompts. So the game changed a little bit in terms of the direction, but now we're just optimizing for prompts.
Interesting. And there's a way to look up what prompts people are using?
Of course, there's plenty of tools, but you have to pay for the data, obviously, but there's plenty of
Or
tools that are going to show you what the prompts that are coming in. And now you're not guessing based on semantics. You're optimizing based on what people are putting into the LLM boxes. Now, I'll throw you a little bit of a curveball. Recently, Google, and I don't know why it took them this long, but they made an algorithmic change. So they took out this parameter called NUM100. And basically what that means is, instead of Google giving you 100 search results per page, they cut it to 10
mm,
because they know these LLMs were digging in to page 20 and 30 and grabbing their data. And now they box the LLMs to say, you can have 10 at a time now. So I was wondering what Google was doing, because you had all of these LLMs that were eating into their market share. And it's like, all right, hold up. Is Google going to protect their business model? Well, they just did this recently. When I say recently, this happened within the last month or so. So it's going to be
whoa.
interesting to see what these LLMs are going to do as a countermeasure, because Google just took out one of their legs.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. That's,
Yeah,
that's
that's
going, that's going to be an interesting board meeting for all those LLMs, and
clearly.
clearly there requires some good brains to figure out the situation. Yeah, I mean, it's the survival of the fittest. So it comes to mind. You have to
Oh, that's
adopt.
nothing has changed. Nothing has
Nothing.
changed.
You have to figure out how to adopt quickly. And now with the advancements that we've made over the last just couple of years, I mean, you have to adopt really quickly. So
Yes.
that's the next level. So I'd be curious to hear from an expert. My experience, as I said, search engine optimization, was that I always wanted to find someone who's good at it and likes doing it, because I didn't understand it. But I knew that there are certain elements outside of content, like blog posts and maybe video content now, and maybe even some sort of podcasting as well, that might link to it, send traffic to your website. What was important as well, especially in the e-commerce world, was to optimize the website. And by that, I mean having the proper naming conventions for the images, for the landing pages, perhaps for local business. You would have to have the names of the city or the same address all across the board. Are those still relevant to the 2020?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything from name, address, phone number, all of that. I mean, everything that you mentioned, it's all relevant because end of the day, you still want to optimize your site for Google. Google's 20, 30 times bigger than OpenAI. I mean, it's not going anywhere, clearly. The game has just shifted a little bit. So you definitely want to still keep your site optimized and still continue to optimize. It's just now you have another channel to optimize for. And if you really want to take a step back and not say and look at it maybe from a 10,000-foot view, these language models are going to cite brands that have the most recognition. So the more brand weight that you have, the better chance that you're going to get cited because you're going to be in a lot of different areas. You're going to have different articles, whether that's articles or video content or anything else that could promote your brand. That's just only going to help. You can't really look at it. You have to treat AEO and GEO perhaps maybe as a different channel, but it all really ties together from a 360-degree standpoint. And if you're following that marketing 360, everything else should snap into play. Now, there are things that you're going to need to do to make sure your site is optimized, to make sure that it has the right information aligned in a certain way in terms of structured data to get into the LM. So they go in there and grab it quickly because it's all about, quick retrieval with AI, as you can already see. So you have to align your content, not only have to say the right thing, but it has to be structured in a way that'll feed these LMs pretty fast. We don't really deviate. The stuff that we were doing 10 years ago, we're still doing because any correct SEO strategy is probably anywhere between a 20 to a 30 point core strategy that you need to do point by point. It's just the AEO and the GEO is just added a little bit more.
Makes sense. However, in the last decade, it was much more difficult to write a good article. It took you a longer
Yes.
time. You had to do maybe research was taking a little bit longer, but the writing part of it, like you had to actually, if you had to be good at it to write something useful. And we all hate those blog posts that you have one answer and you had to read through 15 pages to find that one answer because the blog post talks about all kinds of things that are not relevant, right? Now you can I was approached, and I'm asking that question because I was approached by someone who actually offered it. You can write those blog posts, I can imagine, with ChatGPT Pro or any other LLM. You can write hundreds of blog posts. Is it actually helpful if you write like volume versus quality, quantity versus quality? I guess we could say is it very relevant to that?
I mean, it's a solid question, and there's debate on both sides to say if you write AI type of content, it could get flagged by Google. Again, we try to stay away from that noise. What we care about is writing the content that answers the intent of the search, okay, or the prompt, whatever way you want to call it, or what's going to come out in 5 years from now when it's not AI, maybe the hologram or the visual. Who knows? We adapt. So, but if you're always going to give the right answer to whoever's looking for it, doesn't matter that the medium that it's spit out on, it could be AI, it could be a search engine, it could be a display ad, it could be anything. Once you stick to that, doesn't really matter if Claude is writing it or if Perplexity is writing it. It just has to answer the intent of the prompt or the search. But yeah, you bring up an interesting question because people were starting to think, well, I just flood my site with a bunch of content and I get ranked on Google. Okay, maybe you might rank temporarily, but once Google realizes that your content is not bringing the user any benefit, you're just going to get knocked out of whatever ranking you're at. That's how it works. Google's algorithm is obviously super smart, and they're only going to place that content in front of the user if it resonates with the user. And they measure that in all different types of ways. So if you just stick to writing the answer, you're never going to go wrong. So will it matter if a LLM spun up the content? I mean, we use LLMs all the time. We built our own proprietary LLM that uses Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and uses the strengths of each one in order to get our content out there. That's why we can spin content up at scale based on the internal tool that we bought. So of course we're embracing it. I mean, it's just the throughput of SEO Brand by embracing this went up 500-fold. And there's not one client that we have that doesn't have this need for content. So if you're going to write it through AI, obviously you're going to humanize it through our editing department because that's what we do. Clients rarely care if some algorithm wrote it or if a person wrote it. They only care that if it's bringing them a qualified traffic. And the only way to get the qualified traffic is to give the people what they want. That's it. So it's long, it's boring, it's tedious, but it works.
And that's why I still recommend hiring an expert, an SEO, especially SEO expert to do that work for you, because quite frankly, as you've mentioned, they business owner usually cares about the outcome, which is more leads or more sales. This activity can bring to their business and positive return on their investment. And to be honest, the content that those LLMs now create is pretty good, and you can optimize it to the point where the editing takes less time, and you can optimize it. But it also, you mentioned a good point, is that it needs to be useful. It needs to be something that people are looking for. It needs to be an information that people crave to figure out. And if you
Yeah,
provide an answer, you're going to get people into your ecosystem. You're going to interest them, and they will, once they're on your website or landing page, you'll find ways to learn more about your company and your offer. Is
agreed.
WordPress still the main player when it comes to SEO friendly platform, or am I more in 2015 here?
No, we do a majority of our work is still on WordPress. Again, boring, tedious, but it works.
Wow.
Yes.
I only had, I think I spent my entire life maybe 6 minutes on WordPress, and I just exited it out. This is so out of my game, but I salute everyone who knows how to do it. And I know it brings results. It works.
I mean, it's just the fact that there's just so many people that are used to it because it's at scale. So you can find a lot of different specialists that have experience with it. But there's plenty of platforms right now they'll do just as good of a job. WordPress is easier because most of our people are trained on it. A lot of clients know it. It's just been around for a long time. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a new WordPress or some new technology. There's always something new that's coming.
Does
Yeah.
UX and UI matter here as well? Since design and the user
Yeah.
experience phase, do they matter as well?
Yeah, they really matter. We put a lot of emphasis on UI and UX, specifically conversion rate optimization. I mean, you're going to get to a point where your qualified traffic is your qualified traffic, and there's always going to be a ceiling. So if that ceiling is maybe it's 1,000 clicks a day, and and maybe you're converting 3% of that. I mean, doesn't it make sense to try to see if you can convert 6% of that or 5% of that rather than try and grow more traffic? Usually the answer is there in front of you if you could just straighten up your offer a little bit or, make it a little bit easier for people to find what they're looking for. So we spent a lot of time on CRO, heat mapping, and really trying to understand user behavior. Sometimes just putting a little bit more work in that can grow your business exponentially rather than focusing on more traffic. More traffic isn't always the answer. It's a case by case basis.
I agree. And I'm a big fan of heat mapping. Every time I spoke with a heat map expert, platform owner, excuse me, it was always amazing to see people's behavior. And sometimes you
Yeah.
would be surprised where people wander around your website, and you would never think about that particular spot. And if you leverage it, rewrite something, words matter. And if you rewrite something or position it differently in that particular part, your conversion rate might go up by that 1% or half percent. But if you're getting 10,000 people to your website a month, that half percent or 0.1% even matters, because that might equal sales, more growth. And as your traffic grows with optimized for conversion websites, that matters as well, for
I mean,
sure.
it could be the difference between a winning campaign and a campaign that's not performing very well. I mean, it could be that just that little of difference. And I remember many years staying up, watching session after session, just watching what people do. Back on the Screaming Frog days, now we use Sightbulb and Microsoft Clarity, but I mean, they all really pretty much do the same thing. But yeah, I mean, you're surprised too when people click buttons and you don't think that because your brain automatically knows exactly where to go. And you just have this bias that everybody's going to sort of think and perceive the information that they're looking at in the same way that you are. And usually it's completely different than the way that you perceive it. So it's, when it comes down to that type of thing, that's always fascinating.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. And if you think about, there's a reason why retail stores have rearrange their settings at the store, and have some of them, we've all heard those stores where they choose a different scent at the store, or different positioning, or change the position on the shelves, or what do you see first when you enter the store, what do you see last when you leave the store, what do you see at the checkout. Might look like they just randomly put things into place, but there's brains behind it to make sure that they pay attention to all the little details. And the same applies to online experience. People do that subconsciously or consciously, depends on the time of the day, I guess, or mobile device versus desktop, but they still do those things that we can't assume to know. You have to test it, and now luckily you have tools to do that. So that's very inspiring at the same time.
I worked in a retail store, a big box retail store as a kid. And next to the checkout, it's funny that you mentioned it, next to the registers when they actually used to use, there was a cashier there. You don't see too much of that anymore. But
I know.
everything that was in that area was all of the highest grossing product. Had the highest gross margin. So it was anything that had like 100% gross margin was right by there. So, as people would walk out, they would grab candy, or they would grab a chocolate bar or some sort of accessory. But anything that was near the register was the highest profit margin in the whole store.
Yeah.
And why would you know? You wouldn't know that unless you worked at a retail store. You were in charge of the merchandising. If you were building out aisles and things like that, it wouldn't be something that you would think of, but it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And the amount of profit that would be done at the registers product selection was a big thing. It was astronomical.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's one store. Imagine you have a chain of stores, like Sam Waltman, Sam, what's the Sam
Walmart.
from Walmart. Walton? Sam Walton.
Say, well, yeah, Walmart, yeah, yeah,
Yes, as he would lay down in an aisle to measure the distance between one aisle and another to find out what other retailers know that he doesn't know. And obviously, now I read a post the other day that one of the brands that sells at Walmart,
yeah.
Dude Wipes, sells 130 million worth of product a year through Walmart, through their online platform and offline. So obviously, it's continues to evolve and grow, and it has a big impact on many businesses out there.
Sure.
So switching gears a little bit from search engine optimization, I know you could talk about that forever. Business and maybe more philosophical questions here. What gives you most fulfillment running SEO brand for 20 years now? Which is a huge milestone. It's a big part of your life, obviously. What gives you the most fulfillment in your industry, in your business, in your life?
Yeah. Focus. Being able to focus on one thing brings me a lot of fulfillment. And when I say focus on the client, we built our whole business that way, only on the client. To have a brand that could stretch out for this long in a business that's ever changing,
Mm.
and having relationships with our clients that span 10, sometimes 15 years brings me the most fulfillment. Knowing that it started off with it was just me and my business partner, two people, and then seeing where we are now and all the amazing people that work for us and share the same value that they do anything for their clients. Just to see something that started off with a vision like that and to see it's still going, it's still growing. But that's the biggest type of fulfillment for me. Work wise. Yeah.
I see. I like that focus. It's the first time for the last 59 episodes that I heard the word focus to that question, and it's very interesting because obviously a scattered brain gives you scattered results, but a focused brain gives you a very focused result. And if you focus on something, it will grow and develop and evolve. And you're right. I mean, a lot of people have bad, or a lot of agencies have a bad rap for whatever reasons, and all kinds of reasons, and are valid, some are not. But if you look at it from a business perspective, I mean, it's one of the toughest businesses, most challenging businesses to run out there. There's now tech businesses and all that come with complexity. Every business has its own complex topics, but there's so much changing. This environment is changing so fast that you have to adopt quicker than any other business out there, or most of the businesses out there. So I always respect agencies that have been around for more than 10 years. And at the end of the day, you're offering a service. That's a testament that clients respect your work. They benefit from that work. Otherwise, they would not be around if the work that you do and your team performs is not impacting businesses, positively impacting businesses. I mean, that's your bread and butter. You have to make sure that your client is winning. Otherwise, on the equation, who's winning more? you're going to lose anyways.
Right. And if we're growing businesses, think about all the people that are living their lives through those businesses. I mean, just outside of SEO brand. I mean, if we're growing businesses, that means the companies grow. That
Yeah.
means there's more employees coming in with stable jobs. They're making more money for their families and for their loved ones and for their friends, and they're thriving. So it all starts with us. I mean, maybe that's going a little bit deep, but this is exactly how I think about it. It's the values of the company too. If we could grow a business, that business grows because, entrepreneurs, or at least the majority of them, when they get a little, they want more and they want more and they want more. So they got to keep growing. And usually when they grow, they have to add more people, and that's more jobs, and it's more payroll created, and there's more GDP to the United States. It's just it's a snowball effect. So that's how we look at it. But agencies get a bad rap. So there are a lot of really good agencies that are out there, Matt, that you've never even heard of. I mean, there are plenty of agencies that I had never even heard of, and they've been around a long time because they're sort of baked into their clients like us. They don't need 10, 20 new projects every month to stay afloat. They don't have 200 employees where they need to grow their top line revenue because they were just bought out by a private equity firm and they need to just keep barreling more revenue in there. Can't make the terms of the deal. That happens a lot with agencies. Agencies get people that can talk really well and they can convince clients to come on board with them. And the nine times out of 10, they can't fulfill, or they don't know what they're doing, or whatever it is. And there's a couple of those agencies that give the agency name a bad rap because they could be very profitable in that way. If you don't care about the client or just pocketing the money, sure. And that's what, and private equity winds up scooping up these types of guys. So yeah, but there's a really good, I would say 50 really solid agencies in the United States right now. And there's probably another 100 that you haven't heard of. So yeah, they could get a bad rep because the barrier of entry is low. You could just say that you know what you're doing, convince a client, take their money, and then not know what you're doing. So that's why. And sometimes you get unscrupulous actors in there.
So well said, and it's a pleasure to hear it from someone who is the paragon of reputation when it comes to growing an agencies. It's very optimistic, and I love that mindset here. That the entry level barrier is low because you just have to focus on your customer, focus on the right thing, and obviously providing. And often, even if you're really dedicated, your clients will see it. Most of the clients, I mean, there are some bad clients, of course, but most of the clients will
Sure,
see it even
sure.
if you don't get results right away. If you're maybe new to the space, they will still respect your work, and there's always ways to work around it and be creative and learn and grow. And if you focus on each client individually and do everything you can to help them grow, they'll respect it after all.
Oh yeah. And it's not even like there's a bad client. There's just the only time there's a bad experience is when the expectations aren't lined up correctly
Mm.
from the beginning. So we do a lot of stuff in the beginning to qualify whether or not it would be a good fit on both sides.
Yeah.
But when the expectations are lined out correctly and there's a clear view of point A to point B, and it's a good cultural fit between us and between the client, things always work out. It's when that's mismatched, and perhaps maybe when we took on a client that perhaps maybe we shouldn't have, or we weren't ready for that type of client, or that client wanted unrealistic results because perhaps maybe that client's time frame was just a little bit more aggressive than we were used to. Matt, we've done all this. In
Yeah.
20 years, we've screwed up, we've made mistakes, we've learned. Okay. There's no agency that's going to be out there that says that they haven't done that. But now we have our ideal client and we know who we want to work with and we know who's a really good fit for us and for them. So to screen them out makes life so much easier on the client side because they know who they're getting with us. And it makes it so much easier for our people, our team members that are in the trenches every day with the clients because they have a perfect match coming in. So we wind up saying no to a lot of business, and humbly so that we can be in a position to say that. And it's not because, hey, we don't want your business. We want to help everybody. But when you really line it out in the beginning to make sure it's qualified on both sides, that's when you have a very good mutual relationship between you and the client.
I agree. I agree. And we've all heard those crazy guarantees where I will help you grow your business from 2K to 1 million in 3 months or money back.
Yeah.
That's exactly what brings bad rap to the industry in general because of those unrealistic expectations from the get go.
Yeah, the gurus of YouTube. We see it. We've seen it all. People they say a lot of stuff, but few are up for the moment, unfortunately.
And also, you shouldn't be overly optimistic when you hear something like that, that it's actually possible. But I guess it's the cognitive biases are so so deeply in our subconscious that sometimes some people believe that it's possible to go from
Well, some of these
250 to
consultants or gurus are actually really good. Then some of them can really do what they say. It's just how do you fish out who's good and who's not? That's the hard part.
yeah, and that's becoming more challenging with the spike of AI, where you don't know if you're talking to a real person or a real human
Are
being
you
or
real? Are you real, Matt?
yeah,
Or are you an AI? We've never met before. I'm not sure.
I know, but we'll see each other. Like grab a coffee at Boca Raton. I already know
That's
one good spot there that we saw last
that
time we were.
sounds great to me. Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that. And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast as well, is because of that human to human connection. I mean, that's something that I hope AI won't replace. And maybe there will be my AI communicating with your AI, but I still value my communication with you, or human to human interactions. I hope that this will remain as is and continue
Should,
to.
but your AI will be trained off of you anyway. So I'll just be speaking to your language model, but it'll just be based off of your conscious. So it should be all good.
Exactly, yes. And we'll just sit and grab some coffee or
Yeah, we'll
something
just
better.
drink coffee all day. Let the AIs
Exactly.
chat it out. Yeah, exactly.
Or some better beverage. I mean, you guys have plenty of spots over there in your corner.
Yes.
I have two final questions for you. First one is, if you had an opportunity to sit across the table from Mike, who's just starting out, joins the industry, maybe just graduated, wants to do something big, what advice would you have for him?
I would say put all of your focus on the brand.
I like that.
Nothing is more
Go ahead.
important than the brand because you have a really strong brand name. You're building a moat around yourself. I mean, anybody could come in and start anything, but you have a head start. Now, again, you have to do work. But if I could start over and if I could talk to myself, I would have put so much focus on building the brand. But, the first 10 years we really didn't because we were sort of just kind of figuring it out. Nothing is
Building
more important than the brand. Yes.
to build a reputation,
Yeah, because it takes years to build and it could take seconds to destroy.
and we see it over and over again online and offline, where people ruin their reputation within a minute or less than that with stupid decisions. So
Sometimes you can't help it. I mean, there's a lot of bad actors that are in the space that we know, there's plenty of really, really good companies that have taken reputation attacks and you could protect your reputation all you want. Anybody could say anything at the end of the day, but if you have a really good ethos with your company and if you lead with a good mission and if you're good people, I tend to think that good things will follow you. And that's what we've done over the last 20 years. And hopefully we'll be doing this for the next 20. We won't be changing anytime soon.
and I wish you that as well. And maybe I wish you something that I see here on my mini bookshelf in the office from David Ogilvy, where his legacy continued despite the fact that he's no longer with us, and
Mm.
he still gets great clients and big names. And a lot of people don't even hear about him, or his agency, but he's still performing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making billions in revenue every single years. It's the legacy that continued based on the good principles that he has incorporated from day one. Seems like
The master,
the master, exactly, the OG guru,
OJ, OJ
exactly.
created an entire industry from his head.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
was pretty much responsible for the birth of it, really, when you
Pretty
really think
much,
about it. Yeah,
yes. And
pretty
came
much.
from working at the kitchen. Who knew? And somewhere in
Fascinating.
fascinating
Yes.
story. Recommend everyone to read more about him. Final question: what are you excited the most, Mike, in the near future? What's something that brings a smile to your face?
Does it have to be work related? Is
No,
technology or anything?
technology, life, maybe business. Up to you.
Well, I will say that I was pretty excited that the Philadelphia Eagles might be making a return trip to the Super Bowl, but after seeing this season, I'm not so sure.
Oh,
So I had very high hopes for another Super Bowl, considering last year was probably the greatest team that the NFL has ever seen. And I can proudly say that because I am from Philadelphia, even though I do
I
live in
know.
Brooklyn now. So that really excited me. The last couple of weeks have taken me down a couple of notches, but there's a lot of football left. So I'm really hopeful for that. And I'm also hopeful because snowboarding season is getting ready. So this is a really good time, fun time of the year. Yeah,
I love that. Yes, I hope that eagles will fly high again, maybe
let's hope.
this season or next season or one of the near seasons. May they fly high. Hopefully, you will. Are any favorite places for snowboarding?
Yeah, I like to. I really like to go to Colorado. Yeah, Colorado is really my favorite to snowboard. Yeah, I just love that state. There's so
Yeah.
many really great places to go.
Yeah, we it's still on our schedule. We have a 10-month-old now in the house, so it will be tricky, but we'll still
Oh,
figure out a way.
congratulations!
Thank
Tricky.
you.
Yes, 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 yes,
Figure
yes.
out a way to the slopes. As I mentioned before the call, we live in this fortunate, beautiful place where we can snowboard and drive an hour and a half and we can snowboard. And here it's still 85 degrees. Or if you travel 5 hours from here, Mammoth Lakes, it's huge. It's beautiful. There's so much snow. It's unbelievable. I've never seen so much snow in my life. I haven't been to
Yeah,
Colorado.
I've
It covers me. They already have snow, believe it or not, for 3 weeks or so. I think the
really.
first, yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes the season lasts until June or even
Yeah,
July.
I've heard that. Yeah,
It's
I got to get
incredible.
out there. I heard it's
Yeah,
incredible.
and then you have Lake Tahoe that it's next on our agenda as well. But yeah, maybe we'll hit some slopes one day together and talk
Sounds
more.
great. Would love to.
Mike, it's been a pleasure to host you. Thanks so much for hopping on. I look forward to seeing SEO Brand grow for another 20 years plus, and
God willing.
we
Yes.
connect. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Matt.
much.
Appreciate it.